The fact that so many people were able to even make the trip. We had many people flying in tonight just because they love Piers that much and it has had that much of an effect on their life. One of our last guests for the evening, at 19 years old, he moved into an assisted living facility where he starred in, directed, and produced the documentary film Room 333. In a review for this, his first film, the New York Post said, "It's almost impossible to believe that a kid could produce a documentary like this. It's a gorgeous, hilarious, sad, wonderful, unblinking look at the joy of life. Even at the end of it, bravo, Andrew Jenks." Star of his own MTV show, Jenks World, and so many other critically acclaimed films, he is the founder of the All-American High School Film Festival. In 2016, the 2016 annual event was held at the AMC Theater in Times Square, New York City. This happens to be the busiest movie theater in the United States. This festival granted over $400,000 in scholarships and prizes to aspiring young filmmakers. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce a Piers alumni, Andrew Jenks.
How's everyone doing? Thank you very much for having me. Congratulations on an amazing evening. I know people are probably getting ready, so I'm thinking 3 quick things, and one maybe being a funny story. So I've made documentaries for the last 10 years. I'm from here. My mom works at the health center down the street, and I've made movies for Netflix and HBO and ESPN. And the biggest common denominator, which I definitely learned through Piers and a bunch of other things that I took part in when I was young and working hard, is the value of work and the value of work ethic. And I think there's so much fun that goes on in filmmaking that a lot of times people forget the time that you really have to spend on your craft. So for the HBO movie that I made, where I moved in to a nursing home, I think the movie's about 87 minutes. We shot about 200 hours. For the ESPN movie that I made on Bobby Valentine in Japan, that was about 93 minutes. We shot about 10,000 hours. For the MTV show, it was about 22 minutes an episode. Someone did the math for some reason, and we had shot about 140 hours for every 22 minutes. We do a podcast now with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We record about 30 interviews for every episode, and I end up using about 2 of them. And for each interview that I do, they're about 45 minutes long, and the clips that we use are about 2 minutes. So the one biggest thing that you gotta do that there's no way around is putting in the time. The second thing that I would say is sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it. And I think that's something that Frank and a lot of the students here probably know a little thing or two about. When I was 21 or so, MTV gave me some money to shoot a sizzle reel. And so it was just 5 minutes of what I thought a show on MTV could look like. And the idea would be that I'd live with a rapper. And so I went with 2 of my friends. We shot all of this footage for 5 minutes. We actually shot 240 hours. And I thought they would never pick it up, and so I figured I'd just shoot what would be a feature-length documentary, and eventually I'd get the rights to the footage and make my own thing. So I edited it down into 5 minutes, and at the time I was living with 3 other guys in Midtown Manhattan. And it was in this little apartment. We all had our little rooms. It smelled, it was messy, it was disgusting. And we are all there, and I'm in my room, and the other 3 guys have real jobs. Well, 2 of them have real jobs. I'm doing this documentary thing, and the other one is looking for a job. And I get a call from MTV one day about a couple weeks after I had sent them the 5-minute reel, the 5-minute tape of me living with the rapper. And they said, Andrew, this is really good. And I said, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. And I really did. It was awesome to hear that. And they said, we were thinking, what if you made this a little longer, make it 10 minutes? And I said, okay, sure. And so I did that, and I want to truncate the story a bit here for you. So I made it 10 minutes long. They called me back, they liked it. What if you make it 15 minutes? And eventually I made it a full pilot. So a 30-minute episode on TV tends to be about 22 minutes and 20 seconds. So that's what I did. And I got a call from an executive, and she said, Andrew, we really love this so much. We want to come to your office, and we want to see what your process is like. And I thought in my head just how, for me, it's MTV calling. And so I immediately said, well, yeah, of course, that'd be great. And they said, okay, great, we'll be there next Friday. I said, wonderful. And I hung up the phone. I thought, shit, I don't have an office. Excuse my language. So I tried to think, all right, what am I going to do? And the only thing that I knew, what I said earlier, is that I put my heart into this thing. And I believed in it. And we had traveled all over the place to make it. And I wasn't going to let the fact that I didn't have an office screw this opportunity up. So I called them back, and I said that I had a little problem, that there was a flood in my office, and unfortunately they couldn't come, but I was more than happy to go to their offices in Times Square, talk to them about the process and this sort of thing. And the executive said, no, we're just so ecstatic to come to your office and see how you do it, because we just want to know what's going on. I said, well, you don't really want to know what's going on. There's a flood. And they said, no, but we're going to come. And I said, no, it's a flood. And they kept, no, we're going to come. And I said, well, you're going to get electrocuted. You're going to die. You can't come. And I said, I guess, I have a little bit of a setup in my apartment. You could come there, but that would be kind of weird. And they immediately said, yes, we'd love to do that. We'll come to your apartment. So I'm thinking, all right, kind of what you learn from peers, fake it till you make it a little bit. So I tell my 3 roommates, again, this place is a disaster zone. Guys, during these 2 hours, it was 9 to 11 a.m. on a Friday, I'll never forget. During these 2 hours, do not be in the apartment. There's nothing good that can come from you guys, especially the guy who doesn't have a job. And then I think I need to pretend to be more of probably a professional. And so I call up a friend of mine named Troy. Troy actually teaches in Peekskill. And he's been a friend of mine all my life. And I said to Troy, I'll give you $20 if you come to my apartment from 9 to 11 on Friday and act as my assistant. And he said, why would I do that? I said, well, I need to look professional and the whole thing, and I'll give you $20. He said, all right, done, I'll be there, $20. So it's Friday. I think all 4 of my roommates are out of the apartment. Uh-oh's right. Knock on the door, and it's these 2 executives. And it's the real deal. They're like, they're the big honchos. And so I have Troy, who's wearing a suit and the whole thing. He opens the door, and he goes, hi, welcome to Jenks, welcome to Andrew's apartment. Thank you for coming. And I'm in the back, in my bedroom, as if it's my office. And I thought everyone had been gone. And as Troy is walking these 2 back, it turns out that my roommate, I guess had not really heard me, and was laying out on the couch with only his underwear on. Yeah. And I failed to mention he was 6'8", so you couldn't miss him. And so the 2 executives walk back. Troy quickly gets ahead and tells me what's happened. They walk into my room, and I said, did you guys like that? And they said, what are you talking about? I said, oh, it's MTV, rock and roll, real world. I thought it'd be funny if I had a naked guy out there to just pretend it's the MTV environment. And they go, oh, that was pretty funny, that's pretty funny. Yeah. And so then we're sitting there, and I remember this like it was yesterday. I'm showing them this footage, and going through it, and it's awkward. We're in a small little room in Midtown. There's, I have my Ocean's 11 poster up. They're sitting on my bed. I'm going through it. It's really weird. Knock on the door. It's Troy. And I'm like, oh man, what's Troy gonna say? And Troy walks in and he goes, I'm really sorry to interrupt. He goes, I just wanted to see if I could offer anyone some orange juice, coffee, bagels perhaps. And I'm thinking in my head, man, Troy, we don't have running water in here. Like, what is he talking about? And the executives looked at each other and they go, no, we just had breakfast, that's okay. I was like, all right, thank God. And Troy goes, okay, well, if you need anything, just let me know. I'll be right outside, just holler. And so he walks off, and the two executives look at me and they go, Andrew, do you have an assistant? And I kind of really stopped for a beat, took a deep breath, thought about it, and looked back at them in the eye and said, well, of course I do. My apartment, my office just flooded. What do you think? I just I don't have an assistant, I don't have a real operation, I don't have a process? How do you think I got to 20 minutes of a real television show? I made a documentary for HBO. And they look at me and they go, oh my God, we're so sorry, of course. We're really sorry about the flood, we're really sorry about everything. And it wasn't a lie, it really wasn't. It was a project that I was obsessed with and believed in, and it shot over 200 hours of. And it wasn't gonna come down to whether or not I had an office, and that 20 minutes ended up playing after the VMAs, and 6 million people watched it on one night. And it made me realize that sometimes in life, and especially in film and in your adventures, it's okay to put your blinders on and believe in what you're gonna do. And so long as you do what you do, you do what I was talking about in the beginning, which is work hard. Really, truly, believe me, anything is possible. The last thing I want to say is, I went to high school down the street, and like you guys, I would make, like some of you guys, I'd make movies and show them to my friends, and I never in a million years thought I would be able to travel around the world. India, South Africa, Japan. I woke up this morning in Los Angeles, which is why I'm a little bit probably all over the place. And I'm lucky to have great parents and great friends, and have been a part of things like Peers. And there's really, and trust me when I tell you this, there's absolutely nothing that can stop you if you put that sort of mentality into it. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm not the coolest guy in the room, but I always know I'm working harder than anyone else. I'm believing what I do more than anyone else. And with that, I want to congratulate Frank and everyone here at Peers and all of you guys. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. The sky really is the limit. So I wish all of you the best, and hope to see you down the line. Thank you, guys.